Are you ready to do some shop talk? This week we're continuing to take a little bit of family time and just spend some more time with our kids and just do some things that aren't work related, because we definitely work way too much. But something very exciting is happening this week and I can't help but share. So last year I took on a top secret dream workshop project, and those plans are finally live. I really want to share everything I know about workshops, share all my favorite plans, and get that out there so that I can rest peacefully on vacation. So Ryobi challenged me and my friend Tom Burry to collaborate to create the perfect dream workshop. Tom and I come from very different environments. He lives in basically a row house with a tiny basement that he works in, and I come from the wide open spaces of Alaska, so I have a lot more space, but the space has to be more multifunctional. I come from more of a family-centered, lots of kids running around, work environment. And Tom doesn't have kids yet, so his focus is maybe a little bit different than what I've got going on. So I think the collaboration between the two of us was just really outstanding, and we're both so excited with what we came up with. So the first thing I knew I needed to tackle with a dream workshop is somewhere to store all the stuff.
So I turned to my go-to shelving solution, the built-in shelves. All the shelving is just plywood ripped in half to 24 inches wide, so there's zero waste. It's all framed with just simple off-the-shelf 2x4s, some screws. Very simple, very economical, very easy way to get your shop cleaned up so that you can really start to have some fun. And I love the fact that we don't have any center posts, so if you're working with 8-foot material, which is very common, you're not having to try to wiggle it into your shelving. It's just a matter of throwing it up there and you can start working with it quickly. We sized these for totes, so you can put everything in totes, label it, put it away. If totes aren't your thing, you can easily customize it to fit whatever your storage needs are.
When you cut your posts, you could use regular wood shims or plastic shims and literally just take them, put them underneath the posts, level them so that the shelves are even with your back plates or your back cleats right there. We can move
put
on
all
to
this stuff away,
put everything
let's
out. Let's move on and do the rest of the workshop.
From there, I decided I'm going to use like a cart system for all of my big power tools. You know, power tools that you want permanently mounted.
So I left some shelving out in the built-in shelves just so that we could put some tools in. My go-to favorite tool is the miter saw.
I love the miter saw too.
The solution that I came up with was to put it on a cart that's only 2 feet deep.
Because it's on the 45, I'm able to store it at 2 foot, but now I'm at full position and I have the full depth of range. So what happens when I'm cutting something longer than 1.5 feet?
That's a good question. So, and most of the times you are. So we designed the side carts to be your in feed and your out feed, and I'll show you how that works. So you can use up to an 8-foot long board. If you need to go longer, like 16 feet, you can pull the other cart out. If you go much longer than that,
you need a longer garage,
yeah,
or a bigger shop. Super flexible. So the only tool heavier than the miter saw is the table saw, and I saw you have that guy hidden over there on a cart.
The other thing we did is we put the table saw on a cart, and the table saw deck height matched the in-feed, out-feed cart, so you could rip on the table saw by yourself and the carts would support it.
And then to use it, you simply lock the wheels in place, add the safety gear, and raise the blade, and you're ready to go. We can start ripping some wood.
Again, I love how easy that is to take the saw out, because half the job, you wouldn't even want to do it by the time you have to set it up. So this is so easy. If you're making a small cut, it's perfect. You're already set up.
And what this really does is allows you to rip wood safely, easily, and all by yourself.
And I can pull this away as much as we need, as long as you're ripping.
Yeah, so if you have something really long, yeah, absolutely, you could pull it quite a bit further out.
And if you're doing something wider?
Good point. So that is actually one of the biggest challenges with the table saws. You need a really wide deck for plywood, which is what you're most commonly going to be ripping. Just something to support this edge so you don't have this kind of thing going on as you're pushing it through the table saw. So you can pull this cart over it can work as a side feed.
So I also wanted to include just like a basic workbench plan that's really sturdy, simple. You know, in the garage, I don't like to get too fancy. I like it to be really easy, simple, sturdy, you know, bulletproof. If you need a hammer on something, you can. I did that with like a corner unit. And then for bench tools, so like a bench sander, I don't know if you've ever picked one up, or even a scroll saw. They're really heavy, and they're heavy on purpose so they don't move as you're using them, but they're a pain. If Jacob was here, he'd have better terminology, but they're really heavy, so you don't want to move them either. And so a lot of times I'm thinking, I don't even want to use the bench sander because it's so much work to get it out, put it up on the tabletop, plug it in, use it, and then put it back.
I love that we built a corner work table in our shop. I think it's amazing.
All we did here is took a piece of plywood, cut it in a circular shape, mounted a Lazy Susan hardware to the bottom of it, and you know, you can use your grinder. Then when you need to use your bench sander, just pull the pin, easily rotate it, and then pin it back in. You can use your bench sander.
So you customize it to whatever tools you have.
Absolutely, yeah, whatever you're needing to work with.
It's a great use of space, and it's nice to have a sturdy table. It's a must build for sure.
I felt like that was just a simple project. Just add a Lazy Susan and a circular piece of plywood on top of a corner workbench, and you've got 3 tools in the space of 1. So Tom had some really cool projects too. His barn door workplace center was just amazing. I just really loved how it turned out. It's almost something you could even have in your living room or your mud room or just throughout your house. So really more of that. I hate even to say the word because man cave is really unfair because we girls like being in the shop too. So it's really, if you want to use your workspace more of an entertainment hangout area, the perfect plan. Tom also had a fold down work table, and you know, normally I'm a little bit kind of iffy about fold downs because you want something very sturdy. Well, let me tell you, Tom's fold down Murphy work table, it was sturdy. So definitely loved both of those projects, and I could see them being used in many different spaces. Definitely encourage you to go check out Tom's plans as well. I couldn't possibly throw every idea, well, I threw every idea I had at Ryobi, and they were like, no, we just need 1 or 2 or 3. So I love how the Dream Workshop turned out, but there is a lot of other workbench plans and ideas that I've done over the years that are also very near and dear, and I really want to share those with you as well. A couple years back, I did a freestanding kind of version of the rollaway workbench, and it had like the built-in miter saw cart, and the work tables pulled out, and you could use those. And one of the work carts actually had a table saw embedded in it, and the other one had like this top piece that you could flip over, and your Craig jig was on it. When you're done using your Craig jig, you just flip that top piece back over and it's gone. So it was really handy, and the clamps were in the sides. And I just loved that workbench, and it was a much smaller version, and it didn't require you doing anything permanent to your walls. We also have a really simple workbench plan. It's kind of like the first project anybody should build if they're getting into building. I have my favorite sawhorse plans. They're really sturdy. We've been using these same sawhorses for many years. We built this whole house using them. They're constant. They never fall apart. They never shake, and they're pretty easy to build. So I highly recommend them, and you can use the sawhorses, throw a piece of plywood on top or some 2x4s on top, and use it as a cutting surface, as a clamping surface, as an assembly surface, as a painting surface, you name it, those sawhorses get used for it. So another garage favorite I have is the freestanding 2x4 shelving. It's so simple to build, and it really just can store tons and tons, literally like 5 times as much as if you had your stuff on the floor, because you can stack it all neatly up. If you can't install permanent shelving into your walls, or you're like living in an apartment and you need something just temporary, the 2x4 shelving is the way to go. So you guys have blown me away over the years with all of your brag posts and how you've taken like what I kind of put out there and made it 10 times better. So these are just a few of my favorite brag posts from the garage, and do keep sharing them because we all love seeing them. We all find inspiration from your builds. workshop as like a kitchen. And if you got like a new mixer and a new microwave, you would want some sort of shelving or something to put these new tools on, right? You wouldn't just like pull up shop on the floor and start cooking. And so your workbench is a lot like a kitchen. It doesn't have to be a gourmet kitchen. It does not have to be a gigantic kitchen. You know, you can get away with a little kitchenette or even a camp kitchen. But the point is your workbench needs a dedicated space, just like you need a dedicated space in a kitchen. So somewhere to cut, somewhere to assemble, and those spaces can change. Like you could, you know, use one surface to cut and then put your cutting tools away and then use that same surface to assemble. So I just want to hopefully inspire you in this video to just think about the process of building and how you can make it easier, how you can make it more efficient, how you can make your building more accurate, and most importantly, more enjoyable. So thanks so much for watching. We're going to take a little bit of family time and head down to our cabin and just relax a little bit and get rejuvenated for a very busy 2018. Because we're going to be back at it next week in full force. So we'll see you guys next Monday. Enjoy your week.